And it's our pleasure to have today Marcus Arroyo. He's the offensive coordinator and coaches the outside wide receivers for Southern Miss. And Marcus, great to have you as a part of our Southern Miss family. Talk a little bit about how you wound up at Southern Miss. Where's your coaching career taken you, and how did you wind up at Southern Miss?
Well, I ended up at Southern Miss. I've known Coach Munkin here for a few years. Here we met just in talking football through the small circles that all the coaching profession brings you. And rewinding that back through a few years at Cal with Coach Tedford. Prior to that, at Wyoming with Dave Christensen and the new staff there from Missouri. Prior to that, in the San Jose State staff with Dick Tomey, who was an Arizona long-time legendary coach there. Started my career before that in Texas at Prairie View A&M in the SWAC, and jumped right in right after I got done playing in 2002 as a student assistant there at San Jose State in the spring there at my alma mater for one season, and really kind of fell right into it, and wasn't something that was planned, but you know, athletics and sports and football in general has just been a real passion of mine, and got fortunate enough to get to the places that I was at, and real happy to be here. So it all worked out in that fashion, really.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, was coaching something you always wanted to do, or did you think you were heading in another direction and coaching just sort of happened?
Well, I think it's just like many people. I think I grew up in a really small town, and I grew up around a lot of teachers and coaches. Played every sport. Was always in. My mom and dad were. Mom was an athlete. Dad did some athlete. Was an athlete in high school, and grew up around a bunch of coaches and teachers, and it was kind of, I guess, in me for a long time. Did I plan on going to college and falling into coaching? No, not at all. I got a degree in sport management and thought I was going to be in maybe the business side of it, the managerial side or the agent side or front office and all that stuff. But really fell in love with it as soon as I got into it.
You're at Southern Miss now. Did you know much about Southern Miss? You spent most of your career, I guess, kind of out on the West Coast or out west. Did you know a whole lot about Southern Miss when Coach Munkin got the job and approached you about joining the staff here?
Well, I think the one thing that with my generation, I say that because I kind of now falling in the middle now. Now this is going into my 11th season, and I think my generation, the one thing we've got at this age that I was able to have was the media attention. You find out and you know more about colleges that are further away from you than you did with generations prior to mine. So in regards to knowing about Southern Miss, absolutely. I mean, you grew up with watching a team in all black that no one wants to go play, and you start identifying with, okay, where's that out in the map, or where's this at? Conference USA becomes something, and then they get the media attention, and ESPN's picking up 3 channels, and you're watching teams, and you begin to see, you get into this thing, and that's your life, as a player. Then you get into it as a coach, and you find out you really know a lot more about more teams further away from you than you probably anticipate. So Southern Miss, I have known about as far as what they've done. When he took the job here, I was well aware of the tradition. I know it's a tough place to play. I know they've always been real tough. I know not many teams want to go play them. As an opposing coach or a coach looking from the outside, that's basically what I knew. Now, the thing that was most attractive, I think, is, in this profession, as you talk about where you want to go and you start thinking about things with your family and your wife and you talk about certain things. I think the year I had down in Texas and Houston gave me a real understanding of how the culture of football is so different in every place, from the West Coast to the Midwest, I should say, or Southwest. Then knowing and have played in the Southeast area, played against LSU, played at Florida, and seeing those cultures, recruited in Mississippi, and was at Wyoming a couple times at the JC level, seeing the culture of that as a coach, going to a place where football is that important is something that, if that's your profession, if that's what you do, if that's what puts food on the table for you, you got to be able to identify with that and say, is that something you're interested in? Absolutely. When he took this job, it was something that I was fortunate enough to reach out and say, hey, I'd love to come work for you, and we worked it out.
You mentioned some of those great coaches that you work for. Has your offensive philosophy been sort of shaped by some of those great coaches you've worked for over the years?
Absolutely. I think that, like really anyone in any profession, what you grew up with or what you do, you end up, you know, kind of bringing on yourself. You know, how you coach, how you play, how you treat players, whatever your philosophy is on and off the field is usually something that is you picked up from someone else. I think all the coaches I've ever been associated with is the only reason I've had success in my profession. I really attribute all of that to them. I learned all that from them. Many things you pick up and you work around yourself, you find out later, oh wow, I got that from it, you didn't know it. But philosophically, whether again it's on or off the field, whether it's you know, working with your players, teaching your players as a teacher, or you're doing X's and O's and prepping a game plan, came from someone. And I think the Dave Christensen's, the Dick Tomeys, the Steve Hagens, the Jeff Tedfords, all those people have had a hand in that, and I was fortunate enough to really be a part of a lot of great coaches, in my opinion.
Talk about the offensive football team here at Southern Miss that you have sort of inherited. What do you like about this offensive football team? What are some areas in the spring that might have been challenges as you guys you know, sort of got to work this year?
Well, I think, you know, now that we've been through the spring and this is probably the fourth time I've installed an offense, I think the thing that's most pertinent when we first came in, now that coming in, is not so much what we do, not so much who we have. That's really important. I think the thing that sticks out with Coach Monken, and he's done an amazing job with, and he'll continue to do, is really what we've done is you're trying to build a culture. You're trying on offense. It's the same thing. You know, maybe when you know, when I was younger in my days, the first thing I want to do is start putting in all these X and O's and putting in all these scheme things. I think the culture and the ethos of the offense, you know, is really the most important thing to me. What do we want to stand for? You know, what do we want to look like? And when you ask, what do you want your offense? What do you like most about the offense? What do you think about the offense? You know, what kind of pieces do you have? Right now, we're trying to build an ethos of, you know, an entity on offense that does the things that wins football games. The great part about Southern Miss and this offense, and what I think we've started to kind of ingrain in our guys, is a tough brand of football, a tough, physical, fast, fun, player-friendly type of offense. What they've done at Oklahoma State, what I've done in the past, very closely connected, and obviously my schematical tenets as well as philosophical tenets with Coach Monken are really, really close in that regard. And so it's really easy to sit down and go with our guys and sit down as a staff and say, here's what wins football games. This is what we believe in. This is what we want to teach, and let's go out and do it. And I think the tough brand of being efficient, making it player-friendly, brand of football that knows what wins games is probably the thing I'm most excited about right now.
The average fan, when they hear spread offense, thinks it's going to throw it 65 or 70 times a game, but it's really an offense that puts the pressure on the defense and makes the defense kind of react to you, and you're able to do what the defense gives you.
Yeah, I think that's probably correct in a lot of ways. I think anybody you ask about, you know, nowadays that spread term gets thrown around so much, it's different for every person. I think what we want to do is try to create advantage, try to dictate what the defense has to do, and do what it takes to move the ball and be effective. And whether that's throwing it or running it, we'll do when we have the ability to do so in this offense. More than anything, it goes back to what is it within that offense that wins football games. Running the football, taking care of the football, converting, being effective on first down, scoring in the red zone, being great on fourth down, not making mental errors. Those are the things that win spread, pro, triple option, whatever it is. But our offense can be explosive because of kind of the system that Coach Monken's put in place and the things that are within it that make it really user friendly. And we really have begun to mold it around some of the guys we've got, and trying to get a good clean grasp of, by the time fall camp finishes, of where exactly those guys are at, and giving them the best plan they can to go out there on Saturdays and compete.
Any offense has got to have a general out there, got to have a quarterback. Not a lot of guys around that have had a lot of game experience. So how do you sort of evaluate the quarterback position?
Well, this isn't my first time or Coach Monken's first time. Obviously, I don't believe having the situation where we haven't had a lot of experience. It's just as you go into this situation, you've got to be able to assess exactly what these guys do well. And they all have taken great strides through spring and given themselves a chance. Kyle, obviously, Cole, obviously, Ricky, obviously. We've got 2 young kids coming in. We've got a transfer relief coming in. All those guys have tools and measurable attributes that we believe are going to be something that will give us a chance throughout spring. Obviously, Kyle and Cole took most of the reps, and those guys made great strides and given us a chance to move into fall and be competitive and efficient. Obviously, not a lot of playing time like you alluded to, but again, we've got to do a good job of putting on their plate what it is they can handle, pressing that envelope with them at the same time, understanding we've got to be effective and efficient and do things to help them and do things to help everyone on offense. As far as there's not much experience in this offense because we're all new, so it's going to be a group effort, and that's the way we believe in it, and it's going to take togetherness. It's going to be great.
Well, what do you look for in a player? What kind of player needs to be? What kind of player does it have to be to play for you or for Todd Monken on the offensive side of the football?
Well, I think the things we talk about a lot, he's got to have a passion for the game. He's got to be a real pet. You got to love football. If you don't love football at this level, it's hard to do. It is a full-time job, and there's a lot in it. There's a lot of investment you're going to make, and if someone's not real passionate about it, it's tough to really have that to kind of create that fire. You got to love the game. You got to be tough-minded. You got to have your measurable skill set's got to be something that we put you in the right position to be able to be effective. Again, guys who are passionate about the game, who fit what we want, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, all those things. I think what we do as far as our evaluation process is critical, and I think we do a great job of it in our recruiting, and that's what we're actually transitioning out of right now. And I think we're learning and seeing as a staff that Coach Monken's really gave us a good plan, clear plan that is what we're looking for in this program. And it's pretty cut and dry. A guy that fits wear the black and gold's got to be tough, physical, high character, mentally, physically, emotionally ready to fly that flag. And so it's really nice. It's a great time to be here.
When you start practice back in August, offensively, it obviously speeds up a little quicker because you got a game 3 or 4 weeks after you start again. Where does the attention go? Where's the emphasis go when you get back in August?
On us. That's it. When you come back in August, it's on us. The thing that always happens in August is, especially when you're coming, it's your first August, I should say, because it's our first August. We're coming from a spring to our first fall camp. Is the kids have already heard it. They've already heard what we've done in the spring. They've been working on it on themselves, and this summer they've already started that. The attention in August is still on us. We'll try to teach in our room nameless, faceless objects. It doesn't matter who we're playing. The score will take care of itself. There's a lot of things that win a football game, and continuing to teach in fall, the pride, the togetherness, the belief, and the finish that takes to win a game. We gotta teach these guys. Again, I can't reiterate enough that a high IQ in our guys of what wins football games still wins football games. It always has, and it always will. Southern Miss can't beat Southern Miss. You can't otherwise you don't have a chance. You can't go out and turn the ball over. You can't be inefficient on first. You got to do all the things that win a football game before you. It doesn't even matter who you're playing because it's a more level playing field nowadays. Anybody can beat anybody.
What are you looking forward to the most personally? What are you looking forward to the most when the season finally gets here?
Just a chance for these guys to go out there. I remember, it's easy for me to remember being a player. I think it's still a little bit close and near to me. It's still really exciting for me to see a senior, an older guy who deserves to go out and compete at a high level and be effective and have fun and enjoy the game. There's no falseness in that at all. I get more out of watching a guy enjoy him going out on a Saturday and coming off the field, and there's nothing better than celebrating a locker room with the team. There's nothing better. Maybe I've got some friends and we're all sports maniacs. So I think maybe rushing a court or rushing a field after a big win is probably good. Now, not very often as a coach a fan, but as a coach, there's nothing better than having your team celebrate in the locker room.